Scarlett Blade. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Silent Night, Memoirs of a Royal Guard, Chapter 34. Pegasus Stein was standing at attention in front of my desk. He didn't know it yet, but he was my pick to fill Iridescence's old spot. That was, as long as he didn't blow the interview and prove me wrong. For the most part, physically speaking, he was no more remarkable than any other Pegasus. His coat was white like mine, and he had a subdued two-tone crimson and black mane. The only thing that really made him stand out was the braces on his wings. Evidently, he had been injured on the job, and the effects were permanent. That wasn't a concern for me. He could still fly, and in our mixed unit, we didn't fly all that often anyway. You haven't been a guard too terribly long, but your record is solid. Your file says that your citizen comment members are good. Your commander finds you to be a dedicated and dutiful guard. He does mention that you occasionally have a temper, though, when it comes to your injury. Any thoughts on that? It has never gotten in the way of performing my duties, Sergeant. I know my job. I see. Why do you think you're better suited for this position than these ponies? To emphasize my point, I tapped the desk of files that stood almost half a meter high. Did any of those ponies work as hard as I did to get here? Have they ever been broken down and told they'd never be a guard again and still keep going? He stared me square in the eyes. What sort of pony do you want with me, or with you, Sergeant? The kind you hope won't quit, or the one you know won't? I'd pegged him right. Welcome to the team, Astral Bolt. You report to Sergeant Radiant Orchid. Her office is just a couple doors down. Why don't you go see her? His ears shut up and he had to fight back a smile. He did a good job, but it professional, but I knew it, that look. I'd had it before. Thank you, Sergeant, I'll do that. Closing his file, I nodded and said dismissed. I sat on my bed reading the rule book for the new game Iridescence had given me. It was very complex, a war game where every pony took on the role of a race of aliens trying to rule the galaxies. Winterspear came home and asked, "You still up?" Nodding, I tapped the rulebook. I want to be ready for game night. You're going to need a little later than usual again. She nodded at me. Another date? I asked. She nodded again. A nightmare, I hope? Am I going to get to meet her at some point, or is she going to continue to be a mystery? Winterspear waved a hoof. She isn't a mystery, she said, but it didn't sound sure of it, at least not to me. I don't know if it's going to work out. It probably won't. What we have is nice for now, but I don't want to complicate it by bringing family into it. Not yet. I hope you understand. I didn't, but my sister was entitled to her privacy. Sure. Thanks, Silent Night. You're a great brother. I wish I was half the sibling you were. What does that mean? She flopped onto her bed. Nothing. Good night. What an odd thing to say, I thought, and then shrugged. She'd tell me when she felt like it. I went back to the rulebook for a bit longer before going to bed. Is he handsome? Sunnyday asked me. Pardon? Is Russet Rook handsome, the new lieutenant-to-be? She pressed. My brow arched as we walked down the hallway together. We had just finished coordinating a meeting with both princesses and the Canterlot City Council. Now we were on the way to lunch. I owed. I don't know. He's a stallion. Sunnyday huffed. You're telling me that because he's a stallion you don't know if he's handsome. I know if a mare is pretty. Your sister is pretty. No more cute Tom Colt sort of way. Iridescence is beautiful, like an amateur model. Am I pretty? The lieutenant giggled and replied, No, you're too stallion-like to be pretty. You're not bad looking, though, and word in the shower is that you were a pretty hot little mare. My eyes widened and my head whipped to stare at her. Sunnyday started laughing up until the point I walked face first into an open door. As I crashed, she peered down at me. You alright? I'll live, but I'm going to murder Iridescence. Runic? Miley? I called into the pitch-black room. The pair had been spending a lot of time together doing their research. Hello? There was movement in the dark, and then the light flicked on. Runic was dressed in his vinyl lab coat and his goggles on. Miley was next to him in an identical setup. "Hi, Silent Night," Runic called. "Do those goggles that you see in the dark, or are you two just sitting around without any lights now?" I asked. "Mostly the second one," Miley admitted. "Agreed," Runic said. "Any luck then?" I asked. Runic shook his head in frustration. "No, we can't get any of Miley's bad luck to occur while we're together. It is this almost whatever is causing it knows we're trying to measure and study it." I tilted my head and looked at the pair. Miley was smiling and looking up at Runic. "Perhaps your good luck in counteracting Miley's bad luck. As long as you're together, she won't have any mishaps." Runic looked down at Miley and then me. "I had not considered that. Now we'll need to measure my good luck and account for that. Too many variables." "Tell me this, then. If you haven't been able to study Miley, what have you two been doing this whole time?" Miley bounced and said, "I'm helping Runic with his science and alchemy. We're unlocking the secrets of the universe." As she spoke, I noticed that she was staring fondly at my cousin the whole time. "Indeed," Runic added. I smiled on the inside. So that is how it would be then. Fair enough. I turned to go. "Oh, speaking of unlocking secrets, Runic, try to talk Winterspear into using a different one of your mare care products on her mane. She smells like iridescence, and that is a little weird for me." "I'll endeavor to do my best, but you know as well as I do that mares want what mares want," Runic said. I chuckled at that. Indeed. I winked at Miley and left. I certainly saw what she wanted. There was a polite knock at my door, and I looked up to see Crystal Wishes and Velvet Steps peering at me. I smiled. Good morning, ladies. What can I do for you?" Crystal Wishes smiled back and replied, "Hello, Silent Night. Velvet Step and I were going out to go to lunch, and Princess Luna mentioned you probably had not eaten yet. Would you like to come with us?" "Lunchtime? Already?" Princess Luna would be correct. Slipping around my desk, I added, "As long as I'm not the third wheel, I would be very happy to go to lunch with you two prettiest mares in Canterlot." Crystal Wishes arched an eyebrow. "And when did you learn about flattery?" "Winterspear keeps leaving these mares' monthly magazines around, and I got bored sometimes," I admitted. Velvet Step said, "Well, I can assure you, you won't be a third wheel. Come along." Crystal Wishes, as usual, knew the exact right place to go. Picking the best places in Canterlot just seemed to be one of her many talents. Today, she had taken us to a small cafe down the block from the Sunridge Suites with outdoor seating. The food wasn't overly expensive, and it had a great grilled vegetable section. The three of us sat quietly outside watching the crowd come and go. Canterlot was full of important ponies with important places to go, or so they said. I never paid it much mind, but I knew the others did. It certainly had the lieutenant all worked up. "How do you like being first sergeant, is it?" Velvet asked. My ears flicked and I turned to the pony watching. I seem quite suited to the task. I'm really proud of my unit, and it gives me more time to spend with every pony, including the princess." Velvet stared at me with her head tilted. "That means he likes it," Crystal Wishes translated. "Oh, good. What is first sergeant exactly?" Velvet asked. "It is my rank. My position is unit sergeant, which just means I'm the senior-most non-commissioned officer of my unit. I'm like the lieutenant's second in command," I explained. Velvet looked at Crystal Wishes, who just shrugged and smiled. "Civilian ponies don't always share my interest in all the things guard-related." I changed the subject. "I don't understand. Your parents make the best sweets in town, Velvet. How's that going?" Velvet clapped her hooves together and beamed. "They're doing well. The ponies in Canterlot love the treats, and new fads blow through. Crystal is always there to steer the ship in the right direction." She then sighed a bit. "In fact, they're doing so well I'm not sure I'll ever be as successful as them." Crystal Wishes leaned over and softly placed her head against Velvet's. "Don't talk like that. You're an amazing dancer, and soon every pony that is any pony will have heard of you. You're about to go on your first big tour. As long as you keep working hard, you'll make it." I agree. She's right. Hard work always pays off. What sort of tour? Thanks, you two. Well, I've got my first part in the principal dancer with the Canterlot Ballet, Velvet said. We're going on tour across Equestria to dance at all major cities. Congrats, then. It seems like your hard work is already paying off. I'll see about getting some tickets sometime. The waiter returned with our lunch, and so I fell silent. My focus had shifted to the grilled zucchini and onion sandwich I had ordered. The mayor seemed to notice and took interest in their own food. Midway through the meal, Velvet looked over at Crystal. Crystal, you have a little... Crystal Wishes replied absently. Some of the sauce had managed to get on her cheek. Velvet gave up trying to be subtle and just wiped it off for her. Thanks, Crystal Wishes said, looking my way and blushing a bit. I tried to look as if I hadn't noticed. That was a trick I learned from watching Candlelight Ponies. It seemed to work. Crystal Wishes finished and looked at me. I understand you finally found a new lieutenant. We did. I think he'll work out just fine. He has a good head on his shoulders and most likely won't be a hindrance to normal operations. I doubt he'll interrupt any book discussions. That was certainly awkward, Crystal Wishes replied. Indeed, awkward, inappropriate, and foolish, I said, looking down. My meal was already gone. I never intended to eat that fast, but sometimes it happens in good company. I should be getting back to work. I hope you two will forgive me. Of course, Silent Night, by all means. Crystal Wishes said, Thanks for coming, Velvet added. I noted that both of them settled my tab. As I headed off, I looked back to the pair. They were hugging, and I heard Crystal Wishes say, I'm going to miss you so much. Write me as soon as you can. Those two were good together, and I was a little jelly and a little guilty. Velvet was a sweet pony, and occasionally I had to stop myself from looking at Crystal Wishes. Me and my unicorns. In any event, it was inappropriate, and I owed it to Velvet to behave. It was a shame Velvet had to go off on her dance trope, but that was her career. She did her job like I did mine, and I respected that a lot. I also made a note to check in Crystal Wishes and keep her company, if she wanted, while her mare friend was gone. Well then, I hope you guys have had a wunderbar day.